to carry on. Open your heart, set your mind at ease. Live your life and you'll be free. We're gonna rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise,
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review for this morning's press conference reaction with myself, Paul, and of course, Billy Bob. If you do enjoy the show this morning, don't forget to give it the thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel and like what you see, please do subscribe. And of course, you can support the channel in the usual two ways with membership, which is the join button underneath the two of us. And of course, super chats, which is the $ underneath the live chat. And that will also guarantee your comment to be read out live on the show. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, and good morning to all you beautiful people out there in Viewerland.
Now then, Eddie Howe has spoken to the media ahead of the game on Sunday, of course, and some interesting points made, Billy. But we must start off that it's Eddie's third birthday as Newcastle United manager.
Yes, it was quite a celebratory press conference, wasn't it? A lot of people mentioned it. He was kind of reminiscing about the good times that he's had at the club and how his kids now speak with the Geordie accent and things to that nature. Yeah, it's been a great 3 years, considering where he took us over from where we are now, what we've had in between, the adventures we've been on. Yeah, it's been a really, really good. He's done a really good job at Newcastle United, and long may that continue because, you know, I think he's improved as a manager, even though I've been critical of him in the past. But I do believe he's improving as a manager, and if he can keep improving, then he's going to bring us trophies, no doubt about it.
Yeah, but as fans, Billy, I mean, isn't that our job really to criticise when we lose and, you know, sing when we win and all that kind of stuff?
It's a highly emotive thing, isn't it? And sometimes your emotions get the better of you and you say things that you probably wish you hadn't said in the long run. But there were times last season where I actually thought he should be sacked. Obviously, when you look at things in the cold light of day and look at it properly, you'd probably think a bit emotive and shouldn't be like that. And I've got back on top of it again.
Really, it's no different to when before social media was around, because you know everybody used to go into the pub or wherever it may be with their mates after a game and say exactly the same things as we're saying now, except it's on live. You know, and I think you're right. It's always been a very passionate fan base, and you know things get said in very much the heat of the moment, and that's why we tend to do our match reviews 24 hours after the game, let the dust settle a little bit. We do instant reactions, but it's interesting looking back at your instant reaction to what it is when we do the full match review, of course, because sometimes it can be very different when the dust settles. Nos Templar says it's my Alora's 5th birthday today as well. I've let her have the day off school. Happy birthday, Laura. I hope you're having a very good day and you've been spoiled rotten. I presume she has, of course, 5th birthday. Of course you do. And of course, Billy, you know, in that 3 years, we've reached the Champions League. We've escaped relegation. We've been on a hell of a journey, haven't we? And I think Eddie alluded to that numerous times this morning. He was asked a few times about, you know, what is the goal? You know, have your goals changed, etc., etc. And, you know, Eddie's goals haven't changed. He wants to win a trophy at Newcastle. And I think he made that apparently clear this morning.
Yeah, he did. He did. I think the question was asked about when the owners first took over and 5-year plan, Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, winning things like that. And he kind of said, there's been no meetings to say that. But clearly, after 3 years of the job, you know, we're probably not as close to winning the Premier League now as what we were then. So, he wants a trophy, and I think he'll get one. I really do. I think he will get a trophy. Hopefully sooner rather than later, so we can all see it in glory. But he mentioned, you know, trips to Wembley, PSG at home, just things that you're never ever going to forget. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be doing those things. So
Yeah,
think
it's
a lot of
all
credit in the
about
bank.
memories. It's all
And
about
you think,
memories as well.
yeah, you think some managers would have a lot of credit in the bank, and he certainly has.
Hmm.
And I see that the manager of my local team sacked yesterday was ridiculous.
Well, that was a
Decision by the-
disgrace.
absolutely outrageous.
Mark Robbins, what he's done for that football club.
Oh, unbelievable.
Sometimes you scratch your head. Certain things happen in football and leave you scratching your head and wondering, what the hell is the point after all the job that Mark Robbins has done.
Yeah.
The first time he's under a little bit of scrutiny and they fire him. I mean,
In 8 years. In 8 years.
yeah, it's absolutely bang wrong.
Scandalous.
I mean, they should have been. They should have beaten Man United at Wembley. That was not offside. There's, it's just it baffles. The mind does boggle. And of course, he mentioned other things during the 3-year tenure. He mentioned last season there was still some high points despite the injuries. And look, he was very positive about the 3 years. He wasn't negative in any stretch of what he was talking about the 3 years. Never complained about anything. And I got the feeling that he's just very happy and content in his job right now, which is fantastic, because that will then liaise to the players. Of course, if you've got a happy manager who's loving his job, that tends to rub off on the team.
Yeah, and of course he's very settled. His family are very settled as well. That was kind of mentioned too. The kids have got loads of friends.
Well, Geordie accent's got me, Billy. I'm just saying that sometimes they say stuff to me that I don't understand. Brilliant.
But, if the family is settled, then that's the big base for it all, isn't it? And they are, and he is, and he's happy in his work. So long
of course, because there's been a bit of previous about Eddie, of course, when he was at Burnley, people blamed him for being homesick when it wasn't that case at all. It was the fact that his mother was seriously ill, and I think he lost his mum during that time period as well. So, it was a tough time for the family. And then, of course, he was linked with Celtic, wasn't he? And they said that he wouldn't move north to Celtic, but he's come to Newcastle. He's quashed all those rumours about homesickness and things like that. And like you say, his family is happy. Kids are doing well at school. They've got a good circle of friends. Everything is very positive in his personal life as well. And that gives you the indication that he's still in it for the long run. Now, what he did say was that, I don't know how to take this, Billy, and I've watched other shows this morning talking about the comment he made about the next guy to come in. Which was a weird one, but I guess he's only talking honestly in a way, because he's saying things like, we want to get the structure right, we want to get a winning team, and things like that. So when a new guy does come in, he doesn't have the problems that I had. I think that's what he's alluding to. The fact that no job lasts forever, and when Eddie does eventually leave, he wants to make sure that the job is the perfect job for the next one to take over. I don't see any big story in that or any crazy rumor. I just see it as a little bit strange to say, but I can see where he's going with it.
Yeah, I mean, no manager's ever going to be here forever. There's going to be a point in time where Eddie Howe isn't no longer a manager, and just looking at it's being realistic. But hopefully, he can be here for a long time and bring us the silverware. And the more he does that, the longer he'll be here with us, won't he?
Yeah.
Unless he wants to get back to the South Coast or whatever. But I just don't see it at the moment. I think he realises he's at a massive club. If other clubs came looking for him, would he move? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's
if he's got a winning formula at Newcastle, Billy, I don't see any reason. I mean, he talked very positively about still wanting to win that elusive trophy.
Exactly.
He's very, very focused. Yeah.
Huge ball for players and manager alike, actually.
Yeah. Clone Lad says, any word on Trippier or Wilson? Well, they're still not going to make this weekend. Michael says, Botman not back till January. We need to buy another centre-back. Yeah, he did discuss Botman and Lascelles, and he said that Lascelles is a bit further behind than Botman. They've each got different individual plans. He also mentioned Bunce in all of this, and I think Bunce's influences may be a factor in all of this. And although that, we've seen a lot of social media presence from Sven Botman posting cryptic photos and things like that. Again, it's down to the staff, and Eddie did allude that it will probably, hopefully, they might get him on the training pitch before Christmas. But match-wise, it's more realistically going to be January.
Yeah, that's a little bit behind what we thought at first. We thought December 1st, but
it's normally January. About 9 months for an injury like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long old process, and people and the journalists were asking about the injury record. It hasn't been as bad this season, but what is that down to? And he kind of said less games. He also said James Bunt's been involved also is a massive plus as well. So, not the disharmony behind the scenes as some would make you believe.
Well, the thing is, everybody's saying you're saying now, Billy. It's caught on really. It's caught on well with everybody. Ricky says it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see Wilson and Trippier again. I think we'll see Trips. I don't think I have my doubts over Wilson. We've been through that a million times about Callum Wilson, and I do still have very big doubts that we're going to see him again. Doug, good morning. Hope you're well, matey. Definitely a good saying, especially to West Ham fans. Be careful what you wish for. Lopetegui has struggled at West Ham. Yeah, they are in dire straits. And Doug goes on to say Eddie Howe is the best man for the job. Look, I'm still behind Eddie, and what anybody says, you know what the thing is, Billy, everybody still puts under previous videos in the comments, oh, you were complaining about him last week, and somebody said about Lewis Hall, you were complaining about him the other week. Look, I think people don't understand football at times. Like, you watch a game of football and you do a match review based on that match that you're watching. We as fans are entitled to criticize all the time because we're supporters of the club. We pay our money towards the club, etc. Right? We have a voice, and sometimes if we feel like it's a case of criticizing, we will. If it's a case that they're playing absolutely brilliantly, we'll praise them. That's just how life works. We're not going to sit here and bullcrap anybody saying when a performance is poor, we're going to come out and say, oh yeah, don't worry about it, it was fine. Why do that? What's the point of having a fan channel if you can't voice your opinions?
But I mean, the Lewis Hall one was nonsense anyway because we've never criticised him in any shape, way, or form this season.
No, I don't
get
where
I haven't criticised him at all since he's been at the club.
No, I don't understand. I absolutely do not understand some people. Mason says Coventry want one of the Swansea coaching staff. I doubt that very much. So that, the fans aren't going to accept as a coach at a club that they perceive to be a bigger club than. Well, there is lots of media going around about that, Billy, this morning. But
I think Frank Lampard's the man.
Yeah, really? You think he'll take that job?
Yeah, absolutely will. Okay. I think he'll take any job at the minute.
Well, that's very true. Captain Howdy says, I fully believe Eddie will get us there. He's an intelligent coach. He knows what is required. Yes, mistakes have been made, but he will no doubt learn from them in time. And I guess that's something that I've sort of thought of over the last few weeks, Billy, is when Eddie's come under scrutiny for certain selections and in-game coaching. I think there's always that element of, that a manager can always improve. There isn't a perfect manager. And if you ask Pep and other managers like that, they're always learning as well. You find out new things as you go along. You find things out about your players that you need to tweak, etc. And I think that's the case with Eddie as well. I do fully believe Eddie is the man. Absolutely. And you know what it is when people say, oh, he's not an elite manager, he hasn't won anything. Well, nobody's won anything when they start out and after a few. I mean, look, you look at Klopp, he worked his way up. Pep, I think, has been different because he's been at higher clubs most of his career and kept them up there. That was Pep's remit, wasn't it? Keep them up there as an elite team. But Wenger, Ferguson, look at Alex Ferguson. He almost got sacked from Man United. So there is an element of you've got to start somewhere and build, and then build your CV. Eddie's still young. He's still a very young manager. Nice
little segue there. I mean, talking about Mark Robbins and then talking about Alex Ferguson. He's the one that saved his job, wasn't he?
It was, yeah. Yeah. It was dying moments as well, wasn't it?
Against Forest, yeah.
Yeah. Did Eddie Howe mention anything about Matt Targett? I didn't hear anything about Matt Targett.
All he said was that all those that were out for the previous game, apart from Jacob Murphy,
are all out.
Are all out again. And he didn't even mention Jacob Murphy until someone asked him about him.
Someone asked him, yeah.
Which tells me that he's not going to be playing Sunday, thank God.
He's still got an itchy toe. Nathan says, I suspect they will try to loan Targett out in January if he returns to fitness soon. Claire says, if we crack on now and start playing well and get the points, then great. But we are allowed to criticize our club. Absolutely, Claire. Absolutely. And I think that's where people go wrong sometimes. When they call us as a channel negative, they don't seem to understand what we're talking about. When we're saying things like based on the game we've just watched, that's what match reviews are all about. And then you sort of puzzle them together like a jigsaw and say, well, have we been good there? Have we been good here? And we're perfectly in our rights to criticize if we don't think things have been good enough. We're fans. It's just because of social media, people think, oh, you're not allowed to say this or that. And there's so many, happy clappers. I mean, that's a phrase that's been used a lot, who don't see anything negative and everything's rosy in the garden. But, some of these people are, look, take Julie Dorset Bell, for instance. She's a member of this channel. Lovely woman, and she is very opinionated. And I love that about Julie. She's not afraid to give her opinion. She is very, very positive about most things with Newcastle United. And I don't mind that. I don't mind that kind of thing, Billy, because she makes good points. And there's others like Julie who make very, very good points and will not be afraid to have a dig at me or you or anybody. If she feels she's right, then it's her opinion. And I like that. But some people put their opinions in a format that just says, right, you're a bunch of arseholes, get lost kind of thing. And that's not how you debate things.
No, constructive criticism's fine.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe gets things wrong. The heavy manager does. And when he does, we pick him up on them. As simple as that. When he does things right, we praise him for them.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Peter, good morning. Says, can you see the midfield being rotated on Sunday? Billy can. I can't. I think he'll stick with the same. Billy thinks that Tonali will come in for Longstaff. We'll, of course, get Stato and Lady Sam's opinion on that tonight on TTR Friday. Don't forget, 7:00. The best way to start your weekend. We'll get their opinions. But, look, he didn't give much away in the press conference about what he's going to do anyway, did he?
Absolutely not. And he never is going to. He's never going to do that. But, the minutes side of it for me for Tonali, and the fact that we need to keep hold of the ball tomorrow, Sunday, against Forest, it's not a case of just defending. We need to have the ball and keep it. And Longstaff's less prone to do that than Sandro Tonali is. So I think Sandro's a search coming for me.
There's Alexander with his cryptic clues again, Billy. Good morning, everyone. I have the day off for the game so I can be a fan instead of an employee.
Oh, Alexander, you're going to have to private message us.
That really does indicate where he works, doesn't it?
Yes, I would think so.
Yeah, come on, mate. Just let us know, please. John Laws says, I've criticised Hall. He's been overhyped at the moment. He gassed after 60 minutes last season and was subbed. His defending can be poor, as it was last season and at times this season. He was very good versus Arsenal.
All fullbacks get beat at times. You can't kind of say it's poor defending when they get beat by a bit of skill.
Yeah.
I thought he was unfair, harshly treated last season. I'll be honest. I thought with Dortmund he was harshly booked, shouldn't have been booked, and he got hooked because of that. And then Eddie Howe spent the rest of the second half swapping Tino and Kieran Trippier around from left to right, from right to left. Yeah, I thought he was harshly treated, but I agree. He was gassing out early. But this season he hasn't done that.
He's not gassing now.
Absolutely not, and he's performing to the top of his ability. And I think he's got a high ceiling to go on that. So say overhyped's a bit harsh. I think this kid's the real deal. I really do.
He's in England. He's in the England squad. That's not overhyped. That's because people at the very top think he's good enough to play at the very top. He's still very raw as well. Let's not forget he's very, very young. He's only 20-year-old. He's nowhere near.
Just turned 20 as well. He's nowhere near his peak. He's got another 5 or 6 years before he reaches his peak.
And I think everybody should, the word overhyped, I think, is a bit too strong. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see where Lewis Hall goes. But it is your opinion. If you think he's overhyped, fair enough. But I don't. I think he's one of the top starlets coming through, and we haven't seen a left back like him for a long time. So it does excite me. Fubar says, anyone else think it's not a coincidence that we have gone from rushing back players from injury, appointing bunts, and now it's gone from one extreme to the other? Yeah, I think lessons were learned. Very much lessons learned. Claire says, I am concerned about January with Gordon playing on the right. Will we delay once again bringing in a right winger? Well, he did mention the transfer window, Billy, and again, listen, this may all be pie in the sky because I think we're going to have a big January transfer window. Personally speaking, after what's gone on the last couple, I think Mitchell is going to make a statement throughout January. Eddie was very coy on it, Billy, again, saying that he thinks it'll be quiet.
I think Mitchell will want to make a statement, but whether he's able to or not is another kettle of fish for me. and Eddie Howe was kind of tempering things, saying, yeah, January windows are notoriously difficult windows to kind of make signings in. I don't know. I think he's just trying to temper things just in case nothing comes through the door, if I'm perfectly honest.
Well, he said this even when the windows that were brought players in, Billy, he said exactly the same thing. He's just not going to give anything away to nobody.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's rightly so. He's just not going to give anything away. I'm sure there's conversations going on in the background. He was asked, they're going on a break to Saudi Arabia for 3 or 4 days, I think, during the international break. Just to get some sunshine training in, a bit of warm weather training, etc. And he was asked, will we be having discussions about the transfer window? And he was again, very coy on it.
Yeah, he's going to be. He's not going to be shouting the rooftops how many we're going to sign, how much money we're going to spend. But he was kind of tempering things, just in case fans are getting overexcited about us bringing 5 or 6 players in. That's not going to happen. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Finances won't allow it for 1. It's hard to get signings in January for 2. It was needs must the first season he was here. We made 3 or 4 good signings, didn't we? But
yeah, we did.
Since then, January's been pretty paltry for us.
But never say never, because I expect a couple of players to leave. Wilson and Miggy being the 2 probables that I can think of that might. I mean, Trippier as well. We're not sure where his stance is at the moment, so there could be a few outgoings as well, which would then bring in an opportunity to sign a couple of more players, of course. So again, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, what he said was, I don't think we are missing anyone new. Jacob Murphy should be okay for Sunday. We are still working on getting the injured players back, and they're all making good progress. Now, on Lewis Hall's England call-up, Eddie said he's had a really good start of the season, consistent and really mature displays. There is still a lot to come from him. He is adding layers to his game all the time. It's a big achievement, and we are delighted for him. And so he's said exactly what we're saying, Billy. Just let's not let's praise the lad, but also realize that he's still very, very young. He's very, very raw, and there's lots to come from him, which is exciting.
Of course it is. As I say, he's 6 years or 7 years away from his peak, and the rate of knots he's progressed in the past season. And he always had natural talent from when he was at Chelsea. We all saw it. He had a promising career. He's the best left back in England now, no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. Yeah, best English left back. But should be an England side for years to come, injuries permitting. This kid will get 150 caps if he stays fit. Absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah. Joe Bentley asks, do you think there's anything wrong with Matt Targett, or has he been frozen out? Eddie doesn't want him anymore. Well, look, I mean, we again, the situation with Matt Targett is extremely puzzling for me. He had a flare-up of eczema, and that was, 6 weeks ago? 5-6 weeks ago now?
He's just not reliable, is he? So you can't count on him to play, so...
I know eczema can be bad. People who have, my daughter's got eczema, and she suffers from it a lot. But when she has a flare-up, it doesn't last 5 or 6 weeks. It's, I just don't know anymore with Matt Targett. Maybe that Eddie just doesn't, fancy him anymore, and there's no point putting him in the squad.
It was a poor signing for me. He had a great loan period, but since then, he's been injured most of the time, hasn't he? I mean, how many games he played since he signed for us?
Well, he came in, Billy, and he did brilliantly, right?
On loan.
I don't think we should have signed him permanently. I think we were heading in a different direction. And Matt Targett was obviously pushing for a move away from Villa anyway. And he played really well, but it's one of those that hasn't really worked. It worked well as a loan deal, but not as a...
didn't we, as well?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. It worked well as a loan, Billy, but not as a permanent. And sometimes that happens.
Well, he's not been fit, though, has he? I mean, since he came on the permanent, has he played 10 games, 20 games? At the most.
Yeah.
So I feel a bit sorry for him. But having said that, he's getting 100k a week, so it can't be that bad for him, can it?
Yeah. Alan said Lewis is Wars for the next 10 years. He will be England regular and with potentially 50-plus caps ahead of him. Tino will follow very soon with Botman back and Gyökeres. Maybe let's reach for the stars.
I don't think we'll be signing Gyökeres. I think there'll be bigger fish to fry for Gyökeres.
Never say never, Billy. Never say never.
By the way, Brighton sold
yeah.
him to Coventry for £1 million.
Yeah.
Mr. Ashworth's dealing that. Potentially going to sign him for about 100 million in the summer if he goes to Man United.
Yes. Interesting. Claire says we need to go after Mbeumo in January as Liverpool will eye him up as Salah replacement. It's not a bad shout. I do think what we have to do, Billy, is if we're going to go for a player, go and get him early. Don't sit around. Don't piss about. Because I think that, you know, the fact is that a lot of players that we've been linked to will be attracting other clubs as well. And that means we have to get them quickly.
Yeah, you've got to be competitive in the transfer market. You've got to lay your cards on the table early and encourage players through the door. But I think Newcastle United is a massive project for anyone. You know, any young player, any old player, anybody. You know, it's a place that players should want to come. Never mind the geography of the place. It's a wonderful city, wonderful area, and a wonderful football club who's, you know, waiting for a trophy. And when that trophy comes, whoever's there then will be down in legends.
Heroes for life.
Of course they will.
Heroes for life. Baz Down Under says, yes, but Target is getting 100 grand a week. Get him on the park. Well, sometimes, you know, listen, get him on the park, but why? Why would we want him on the park, Baz? Is he better than Lewis Hall? I don't think so. I'd rather have Hall any day at left back than Matt Target. So, you know, you're saying get him on the park, but you know, he's not as good as what we've got out on the park at the minute. So wages shouldn't come into it for me with that. You know, just because he's on 100 grand a week, he should be on the park. Listen, the whole deal was a mistake in our opinion anyway.
The problem was that his wife didn't want to move to the northeast. She wanted to go down south. And to encourage him or them to come, we had to offer big wages. Simple as that. Yeah.
Lawrence says was happy to sign Target, but we shouldn't have given him the wages we did. Marino, another example of someone who was a lot better for us on loan.
Was he on loan, Marino? I thought we signed him.
We did sign him.
He was brilliant. He's got a homesick, didn't he?
Yeah. He's probably feeling homesick after getting a drubbing at St James's Park again. Gary says, I have a feeling that we will have a massive January, then drop all the massive sponsorship deals after. That way, other clubs won't try and fleece us more than they do in the window, and it will be offset PSR.
Potentially.
Yeah, it's one way of looking at it. Mark says, I really like Target and was over the moon when we signed him. Yeah, but you didn't also put how you're feeling about that signing now, Mark. People say Target isn't on 100k a week, but who is even paying 40 to 50 a week on loan? I think it was confirmed that he is on 100 grand a week because there was a lot of questions asked about it and asked about should he be on that much wages, etc., etc. It's always going to create a debate anyway. Now, Eddie said on the Nottingham Forest game, on Forest themselves, they're having a great season. Nuno deserves credit for the job he's done. They have a way of playing that really works for them, very tough to play against. They're going to pose a big test for us. They have a solid defence base, really good pace in the wide areas. I mean, look, we spoke about Forest last night on the preview, Billy, and there's no doubt they're having a fantastic season so far. No, we don't expect them to be where they are at the end of the season, but we also didn't expect Leicester City to win the Premier League.
Well, it was even mentioned, wasn't it? They've got the same points as what Leicester had in the same part of the season as when Leicester won it. So there's no way in God's earth they're going to win the league, and probably no way in God's earth they're going to finish top 4. But a top 10 finish for Nottingham Forest is an advance on what they've been doing the past 2 years. Fighting relegation, either through points taken away from them or just too many players in the squad and not being able to pick a proper team. Yeah. They've advanced somewhat under Nuno. He's done a fantastic job, no doubt about it. They've got, as Eddie says, they've got pace out wide. They've got a bloke up front scoring goals. They're very solid defensively, and they've got some creativity with Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White. They're not a bad side at all. Not a bad side at all.
And I think it interesting that he alluded to Nottingham Forest's wide men and the pace that they have, which I guess he's talking about pace. So I definitely think Lewis Hall starts and Tino on the right, Billy.
Yeah, but apparently Langer's out, isn't he?
Yeah, but they've still got so many. They've still got so much.
The glory. They've got that Jota lad that played in against us in the Carabao Cup. Who looks like Grealish. So they've got a little bit of depth there too. So credit to Nuno. He's done a really good job. He really has.
Of course, Nathan says we should get Marlon from Dortmund. We spoke about him many times as well. But it's all right saying we should go for them. We should go for them. It's availability, it's wages, it's transfer fees. There's a lot comes into it, guys, as you well know. It's not a simple case of going out and just signing these players. There's a lot of deals that take the time, and Newcastle are renowned for taking the time with deals, as we know. They don't want to do anything silly. Guy Fawkes says, is Billy growing out that beard for all the Santa jobs coming up next month? Well, I did ask him that. A couple of days ago. I sat there and said, are you, is that being grown in for a reason, Billy, given the time of year that it is?
I don't think those jobs exist these days. I don't think.
You still get the odd Santa Claus popping up here and there. No. Let's change that wording.
At least he didn't say he was emptying his sack. Anyway.
Well, yes, let's move on. Claire says, Son brings in millions of fans who spend big. Kubo would be the same for us. I've been shouting for the rooftops around Kubo, but nobody seems to want to hear me, which is a damn shame. I think it'd be brilliant for us. Now, this was interesting, Billy, because he spoke about the consistency again. He says, we are looking for improvements this year. Consistency is a big, big word for us. Not the most interesting response, I know, but these are the things that we judge ourselves by. I think if we can find that ability to win games and put a sequence of results together, the Premier League is so tight, it can really change the feeling. Now, he did also sort of go on to say about the away form, Billy, and he stated that he realizes he was asked a blunt question, which I thought was a really good question, about why can't we play the same away from home like we do at St. James's Park? Why is it that just, and I said this last night, all football fields are the same. Yes, the atmosphere is different. It's a negative atmosphere when you go away from home, obviously, but why can't you? And Eddie said, we are striving to get that back. Now, I don't understand. Is he saying something different in the dressing room on away games? Or is he maybe realizing that he needs to sort of just take the shackles off a little bit away from home and have that intensity?
You have to be careful because you can get overrun if you kind of try and do too much too soon. Mm-hmm. You have to earn the right to play first. And the press is definitely more tempered away from home. It's about staying energized for the whole game. And if you're pressing like mental for the first 20 minutes, you run out of steam, then you're on the end of a hiding, ain't you? So, it's interesting. Interesting that I want to see us more proactive away from home. I really do. I want to see more press, more attacking intent. But if we do that and get caught in the counter, then people are going to say, "Well, hang on, Eddie. Surely you should be shoring up shop before you start trying to attack from the gallows." So, it's an interesting kind of thing that we need to do. But at the minute, I think we're too much of the way. So I think we do have to get a little bit more attacking.
Absolutely. Ali B says, I hope the Hammers don't get Potter in before our game. I mean, look, if West Ham lose this weekend, I think he's gone. I think they'll pull the trigger for the international break, Billy.
And
of course, Graham Potter is available. I think he'd be a fantastic manager for West Ham. Certainly the players that they've got, I think Potter would do a good job there. C15 says, we don't have too many. We have two. We need two right wingers as well of the same quality. I agree with that. I think, even if we do go for a right winger, we need to make sure that the reserve isn't going to be, that huge drop down in class when you go back to Murphy and Almiron. Tangy makes a good point about the Nottingham Forest fans, and I think Eddie alluded to that in his press conference. He said that the atmosphere is intense at the City Ground. It is important, Billy, that we go out and obviously we'll not, I'd love it, but I don't think we will get a goal in the same first 20 seconds again like we did in the Cup. But an early goal always helps to just calm the crowd down when you're away from home.
It does, but then if you kind of sit back and allow them to attack you again, you bring the crowd back into it. So I don't think it's a case of doing it after one goal. I think you've got to maybe try and get two or three and then do that. Because if you do sit back and allow them attacking intent and allow them territory, then the crowd are going to be back on side again. So you've got to be careful how you do it. I think sometimes when we do go ahead, Eddie does get a little bit negative, I have to say.
Of course, Avonsi and Mbeumo could cover for right wing and centre forward as well.
Good.
Jonathan says, can we get Gula on a loan in January? Hardly playing at all for Madrid. Well, I did a news show a couple of weeks ago regarding this. Apparently, we have made not, I think, massive enquiries, but we've just touched base with Real Madrid on his availability on loan. And, apparently Ancelotti would be open to a move, Billy, on loan because he's not getting a lot of first-team action. So it would certainly keep him on his toes. Even if we got him for 6 months, what a signing that would be.
I don't think Real Madrid will be selling any players or loaning any players because I don't think Ancelotti's job's very safe at this precise moment in time.
Not after the Barca. Well, yes.
And Milan as well.
Yeah. It's not going too well at the moment for Carlo. So let's skip over that one and just see where we are come January, because maybe managers won't be in their positions come January. There's a lot of teams will probably be looking to change. And Real Madrid, as Billy says, that they are struggling right now. On the international break, of course, he said the warm weather training in Saudi with the players for 3 or 4 days, and then get back to work again. Obviously, the international players will be away, Billy, so it'll just be a sort of the threadbare squad going to Saudi. But for me, it's not just about training; it's about keeping that, advertising Newcastle. It's very much a media build-up as well going to Saudi.
Yeah, and bonding too. Team bonding, and it's plus everywhere you look. You get the kind of coverage that the Saudis will give us out there. Seeing their team, which perceived to be their team, Premier League team, live in the flesh training, and then you've got, as I say, the team in bonding, and it's good news for us. And obviously, you come back from warm weather training a lot fitter than what you went out. So maybe
we've done it a few times,
and that will come back and be ready to go straight away.
Steady on, Bill, steady on.
I don't know what heat's like for Eczema. I don't think it's very good for eczema. Heat.
I don't think so. No.
I think we'll have to send him to the Arctic or somewhere.
Send him to Siberia. That'll get him going. C15 says, for me, that new centre-back is crucial. Also a right winger after that. Myself, I wouldn't go for another striker until we have that right wing sorted with silky quality.
Yeah, you can get a player that covers both. Like Mbeumo, for instance. That'd be the kind of signing you want.
Yeah.
I'd personally go for Semenyo, personally, but there you go. That's me.
Well, Semenyo is a player that's caught our eye many times when we played Bournemouth, Billy, and I think the last time we played, he was fantastic against us, and we both in commentary said, "There's our answer to the right hand side," and I don't think Semenyo would cost as much as what Mbeumo would, Billy.
Possibly not.
I mean, look, I don't know, but he is playing well. But Mbeumo, I think, has a higher profile, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he definitely does, because he's doing it for longer, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's been doing it in the Premier for 4 or 5 years, and I think you'd be looking at 50-60 million pounds for him, whether Semenyo, maybe 40-50, I don't know. Interesting.
C15 says Semenyo used to play for Sunderland. Would he sign? Of course he would. Of course he would. He's got no...
Davin Bent was going to at one point in his career, so there's no chance that Semenyo's going to turn it down.
Yeah. Jonathan's asking where Alfie Harrison is these days. It looks to me like Alfie Harrison, Billy, maybe hasn't progressed as well as what they were hoping. I don't know whether he's regressed or he's just standing still right now, but he's on the bench a lot as well for the academy. He's not getting in the first team starting 11. I think it's a case of Alfie needs to get his head down and maybe reset.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, he's not pushing up trees. The coaches aren't that impressed with him. Yeah. He can't get a regular spot in that academy side. There are players in that academy side I think can progress, and Anthony Munder's one of them. Who plays in a kind of defensive midfield role. So there are promising signs down there, but Alfie Harrison hasn't pulled up any trees yet. Which, considering he was kind of on the verge of playing for Man City's first team.
Well, he was training with their first team, wasn't he? And that's what I find a bit puzzling. Yeah. But I think he certainly did train with our senior team for a while as well. But are we just taking our time with Alfie? I don't know. But
it looks like he's regressed. In Japan, he was he wasn't dreadful. He wasn't great, was he? He didn't pull up any trees, no doubt.
No. And a lot of them didn't do them any favours against the Australian All-Stars as well.
Oh, God.
What a game that was to come.
What a morning that was.
Oh, dear. Dear. Anyway, there you go, guys. That is the press conference reaction. Thank you very much for watching. Really enjoyed that, going through what Eddie's had to say. And don't forget, We're back tonight at 7 p.m. With TTR Friday, the very best way to start your weekend. We'll have a bit of football chat, a bit of banter, get you guys on as well for the fan forum part of the show. And of course, all the usual TTR segments that give you a good giggle to start the weekend. Thank you very much to our sponsor as well, Mamaroo Records. If you are based in the Northeast and you're heading into Whitley Bay, they're just opposite Greg's. Go and give them a visit. I'm sure Steve will do a good deal for anybody that mentions the Toon Review, of course. And they are online as well. Lots of merchandise online if you're into your vinyl records and things like that. Their link is pinned at the top of the description. So go and give them a look, and a big thank you again for their continued support of the Toon Review. Thank you, Billy. And thank you to everybody watching. Don't forget, back at 7 o'clock. And we'll start the weekend off with a good laugh. But in the meantime, guys, have a fantastic Friday. See you soon.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check on some green.